Think your city is bad? Think again. From skyrocketing crime rates to economic collapses, today, we're counting down the top 12 worst cities to live in the US in 2025. And trust me, number 1 is going to make you question everything about the American dream. Whether it's urban decay, out-of-control inflation, or cities that are literally falling apart from the inside out, we're diving deep into the places you might want to avoid packing your bags for. And no, this isn't just opinion. We're talking data, crime stats, housing disasters, and economic meltdowns. Buckle up. This ride's gonna get bumpy. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel where we break down the best and worst places to live across the United States. If you're into relocation, real estate, or just love ranking cities from not bad to, oh dear lord, why? Make sure to hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and smash that like button so YouTube knows you like content that keeps it real. Drop a comment below if your city made the list, or if you think we missed one. Let's talk about what makes a city the worst in 2025. Now, we're not just throwing shade for clicks. We're looking at real, measurable data. Things like violent crime rates, unemployment, poverty levels, infrastructure decay, education scores, cost of living versus income, and just plain quality of life. A city might have a rich history and a vibrant culture, but if you can't walk down the street without looking over your shoulder, or afford to buy groceries without selling a kidney, well, it's time we have a talk. Also, just a disclaimer, this isn't a personal attack on the people who live in these places. There are good folks everywhere, and sometimes you're stuck in a bad situation due to things out of your control. This is about the cities and the conditions, not the individuals trying to survive in them. Without further ado, let's dive in. Top 12 worst cities to live in 2025. 12. St. Louis, Missouri. St. Louis has been trying to clean up its act for years, but in 2025, it's still a city where progress is moving at a snail's pace, if at all. The crime rate remains one of the highest in the country, especially when it comes to violent crime. Entire neighborhoods have fallen into disrepair, and despite investments downtown, the city's outer areas are still dealing with abandoned properties, lack of economic opportunity, and deteriorating infrastructure. Schools are underfunded, public transit is barely reliable, and population loss continues as people flee to safer, more stable cities nearby. If you're looking for opportunity and safety, St. Louis isn't it right now. 11. Stockton, California. Once dubbed one of the most miserable cities in America, Stockton hasn't done much to shake that reputation. After declaring bankruptcy in 2012, the city has struggled to rebound. The cost of living in California continues to rise, but in Stockton, incomes haven't kept up. Crime remains a major issue, particularly property crime and gang activity. Public schools are under strain, homelessness is growing, and the job market is stagnant at best. While some areas of the city show potential, most residents are dealing with a day-to-day reality of high expenses, low wages, and little hope for upward mobility. 10. Detroit, Michigan. Detroit is the poster child for urban collapse. Yes, downtown has seen some revitalization with art districts, new businesses, and sports arenas, but let's not sugarcoat things. The majority of the city is still dealing with deep-rooted issues. Blight is everywhere. Entire blocks are abandoned, and essential services like public transportation and policing are stretched thin. Detroit still struggles with one of the highest crime rates in the nation, and schools continue to fail large numbers of students. The auto industry isn't the powerhouse it once was, and while there's hope for a turnaround, 2025 isn't the breakthrough year people were hoping for. 9. Jackson, Mississippi. Jackson has had a rough few years, and 2025 is no exception. The city made national headlines over its water crisis, which exposed deep cracks in its infrastructure. Literally, basic utilities like clean drinking water can't be taken for granted here. On top of that, residents face high poverty levels, one of the worst education systems in the country, and a collapsing healthcare network. Crime is high, especially violent crime, and there's a real sense that state and local governments have failed to address the issues in any meaningful way. It's one of the most dangerous places to live in the US, and the lack of resources only compounds the problem. 8. Gary, Indiana. Gary has been in economic freefall since the decline of the steel industry decades ago, and it still hasn't found a way back. In 2025, Gary feels like a city stuck in time. Abandoned homes, shuttered factories, and one of the fastest shrinking populations in the country. The crime rate is through the roof, jobs are few and far between, and local services are barely functional due to a declining tax base. Schools are chronically underfunded, and there's a widespread feeling of hopelessness among residents. It's not that people in Gary don't want better, it's that the system has completely failed them. 7. Cleveland, Ohio. Cleveland is a city with a complicated story. Yes, there are some revitalization efforts downtown and in the arts scene, but the reality is that many Cleveland neighborhoods are still suffering from years of economic stagnation. The housing market is cheap, but for a reason: high crime, low wages, and dismal public services. Education is hit or miss depending on where you live, and while healthcare and some industries are hiring, they're not enough to lift the city out of its long slump. Cleveland has potential, sure, but in 2025 it's still buried under layers of problems. 6. Shreveport, Louisiana. If you're thinking about moving to Shreveport, you might want to take a second look. In 2025, the city continues to be plagued by violent crime and a local economy that just can't seem to get off the ground. Unemployment is high, wages are low, and educational opportunities are lacking. Shreveport ranks poorly in almost every quality of life metric: healthcare access, infrastructure, public safety, you name it. There's a serious disconnect between the city's leadership and what residents actually need. You can see the decline just by walking through downtown. Empty storefronts, broken sidewalks, and a lot of for sale signs that haven't moved in years. Fact 5. Birmingham, Alabama. Birmingham is a city with history, culture, and a lot of potential. But that's not what most residents are experiencing in 2025. It ranks near the bottom nationally in terms of poverty, and public services are overwhelmed. Violent crime is a daily reality for many residents, particularly in low-income neighborhoods. Infrastructure is crumbling, public transportation is unreliable, and the job market is uneven at best. While the healthcare and tech sectors are trying to inject new life into the local economy, the divide between rich and poor is growing, and the average citizen is paying the price. 4. Baltimore, Maryland. Baltimore continues to struggle with deep systemic issues that have only gotten worse in 2025. Corruption scandals, police reform battles, and a drug epidemic have rocked the city for years, and progress is slow at best. The city has some amazing history and architecture, but a lot of it is being lost to decay and neglect. Crime is rampant, especially in certain neighborhoods where law enforcement presence is inconsistent at best. Schools are struggling, infrastructure is outdated, and there's a massive trust gap between the city's leadership and its residents. Baltimore could be great, but right now it's not even close. Priority 3. San Bernardino, California. San Bernardino is another California city that never quite recovered from bankruptcy. And in 2025, it's still reeling. The economy is weak, the crime rate is high, and housing is both unaffordable and substandard. Public services are underfunded. The school system is struggling, and healthcare access is a growing concern. Homelessness is highly visible throughout the city, and many neighborhoods are experiencing a rise in gang activity and drug use. Despite being in a beautiful part of California, San Bernardino is a clear example of how bad planning and mismanagement can completely derail a city's potential. 2. Memphis, Tennessee. Memphis has music, food, and culture, but also one of the highest violent crime rates in the entire country. In 2025, that hasn't changed. Gang violence, shootings, and property crime are rampant. The public school system is underfunded, infrastructure is aging, and many residents live below the poverty line. The job market is tough unless you're in a specific trade or industry, and the city's leadership hasn't shown a clear plan to turn things around. Memphis has heart, but right now, it's also one of the most dangerous and unstable cities to live in. Chapter 1. Oakland, California. It's hard to believe that Oakland tops this list, but in 2025, it's earned its spot. Once considered a cultural and creative hub, Oakland has been brought to its knees by crime, skyrocketing housing prices, and a growing homeless crisis. Gentrification has pushed out longtime residents, but the city has failed to provide the services or safety that new and old communities alike need. The police force is stretched thin, and violent crime is up year over year. Homeless encampments are growing, businesses are leaving, and public transportation is unreliable at best. Oakland is facing a full-blown identity crisis, and right now, it's a city that's spiraling downward fast. There you have it, the top 12 worst cities to live in the US this year. Remember, these cities aren't hopeless, but they are in trouble. Whether it's bad policy, economic collapse, or just plain neglect, change is possible, but only if people care enough to demand it. If you found this video eye-opening, give it a like and share it with someone who might be considering a move. And if your city made the list, don't take it personally. Just be part of the change. Subscribe to the channel for more brutally honest breakdowns, rankings, and deep dives into America's best and worst places to call home. Until next time, stay smart, stay safe, and as always, thanks for watching.